What's going on, everyone? We are back, and today we are talking about Tier 17 maps. Now, Tier 17 maps are new as of this league, Necropolis. They are very hard. Most people, including me, think they will get a little down-tuned in the next league. How much so, and if it is going to affect the rewards, that is to be seen. But it will not surprise me if it gets easier, or if they just get rid of the fact that it unlocks your 5th map slot when you complete one. Now, how they drop is you get them from a chance of them upping. When a high tier map drops, it has a certain percentage to convert to a tier 17, and that percentage is directly related to your number of void stones. If you have no void stones, I think it's about a 0.4% chance. If you have all 4 void stones, I think it ends up being around 6%. Don't quote me on that. It is on the wiki, but just know that having all 4 void stones, if you want, well, it says right here, 0.4 chance to become tier 7 for each socketed void stone, but I think that scales with other things. I think you get about a 5 to 6% chance when you have all 4. Remember, you get your void stones from killing certain bosses, like the Eater of Worlds, the Searing Exarch, the Uber Shaper, and the Maven. So that's how you get the void stones. If you ever need to get your void stones and you aren't sure where you are, there's a solid chance you have the quest line to fight that certain boss. For example, there's literally an Eater of Worlds quest line. Once you start talking to these people called the Envoy, in your maps that you will find, you will get these quest lines, and you just do what they say, and you can make it all the way to the boss. Now, there are 5 different maps, and they all have a different endgame boss, but where they can drop varies greatly. So there's Abomination, Citadel, Fortress, Sanctuary, Ziggurat, and they all drop from different maps. I like running something like Abomination when I run them, because I'm actually doing them for farming. And it is a map where I can comfortably do the boss most of the time. So I run something like Fields. I like Fields a lot to run those, but depending on which one you run is the one, or the one you want to drop is what you should run. You could see right here, with 1 void stone, it's a 0.4% chance, and with all 4, it is a 6.4% conversion chance. This is all in the POE wiki. I will put a link to this in the description. Now, depending on your build, certain bosses are going to be harder and or easier for you, or just how much you have to dodge. It is very much personal preference. If you ask 100 people what do you think the easiest and the hardest boss is, you're going to get varying results, generally with a couple of them definitely being hard. Ziggurat's map boss is particularly hard for me. It is Katarina at an Uber level, and it is super annoying. I think the easiest, personally, and what's going to be the ease for a lot of people, just simply because there isn't a ton of stuff on the screen, is the Fortress map. It is the heist boss. I forget his name. He kind of looks like a mini robot version of Cortex, but his moves are very telegraphed, and as long as you keep running around the outside while you're attacking, it is not too bad. Now, generally speaking, I am running a ranged character. You're a melee character. You're going to have a tougher time with a lot of these, and a lot harder time with the maps. That is just melee in Path of Exile, and to be honest, in most ARPGs. Unless you're really good with melee, or if you're a really strong character, it is going to be harder. It is not impossible. You can still do it, but it is going to be tougher. A lot of these bosses especially going to be a little tougher, because a lot of them you can get an advantage by staying to the outside of the map. So that's what tier 17s are. That is how you get them. And now let's go over some of the BS mods you want to avoid. I'm just going to keep re-rolling this map, and as I see them, explain them, editing it with it. Now, these are only modifiable with Chaos Orbs. It says it literally on the map, and remember, you can always hold Alt on things you don't understand what it does, and it'll generally tell you what it does. This one tells you what Mark for Death does. This one tells you what Vulnerability does, etc., in case you are ever curious. But some of the ones that you want to avoid are: players are marked for death. This one can S a D. It is very annoying. For 10 seconds after you kill a rare unique monster, you take increased damage and you cannot recover life or energy shield at all. That is leech or anything like that. So you are basically just stagnant. Now, the way I run these, and I'm going to do another video on my farming strategy, is I get a lot of increased effect of the map modifiers. So, and also with Back to Basics, you can get a ton of the modifier effect, which means for me, this 10 seconds turns into about 20 to 30 seconds. So that is a no-brainer. No from me, dog. I will not run this, although I did complete one map once, and it took me about 15 minutes, because I would run in, kill a bunch of group of things, get marked for death, back up, wait for 30 seconds, go to the bathroom, get a drink, go kill another big mod, run away. I just kind of wanted to see if I could do it. Or maybe I'm just stupid and masochistic. Not really sure, but that is one you want to avoid. Area contains additional clusters of highly volatile barrels. Now, these are very dangerous if you are moving too quickly. It's like the small barrels, except these will one-shot you. But it is kind of a catch-22 because they do drop items, and a lot of people do have strategies going around getting this mod to get a little bit more items, or it can be a lot more items. I haven't done a strategy utilizing this or really focusing on this, so I can't speak to that, but I do know people like it. Just know if you run this mod, go a little bit slower, because if you run into them and they pop, or you pop them while you're next to them, there's a solid chance they're going to kill you. Players are targeted by a meteor when they use a flask, and this meteor hurts, and it comes down after you use a flask. It takes about 2 seconds, and then it lands. It's not so annoying for me, because I use a Mage Blood, and it doesn't count as using them, so I never get a meteor dropping down unless I use my 5th flask. But if you are using your flask consistency, this is probably a no-no, unless you are incredibly aware of it and you are constantly moving as your flasks are being used. This one, rare monsters have volatile cores. You've seen this effect before, whether it's the green chaos ball or it's the magma ball. Once they die, it comes up, it goes towards you, and once it gets close to you, it starts to proc and you have to move away, or you can just run through it. Like as it's coming towards you, run under it. No proc and you do not get hit. This one is annoying, but it is not, in my opinion, one that kills the map. You just have to be aware of it and be ready to, once you kill a couple rares or a rare, to back up. Now, if you're melee, keep in mind, once you kill them, the ball appears above them. As soon as they are dead, you need to get away a lot quicker. The Maven interferes with players. If you do not like the sound clip of Maven saying the same thing 400 times a map, you do not want to run this. But the other way it can brick it is she has a thing that heals bosses. She might heal normal enemies. I don't know. They usually can't out-heal just dying in general. But the bosses, it is very noticeable. And this really depends on your character. If you think you can outscale her healing, you can do it. But a lot of builds can't. I can, but it is super annoying. It definitely makes the fight a little bit longer. So just know that her damaging things aren't super annoying or seemed overtuned, but that heal is really the one you want to watch out for. Players and their minions do new damage for 4 out of every seconds. Don't do this one. Super annoying, unless you want it to take forever, and unless you are really timing out the way that you attack. All magic and normal monsters in area are in a union of souls. I have bricked 2 maps with this because the first one I thought, that doesn't sound too bad. Magic and normal monsters, they can't get too strong. And then a couple days later, I seemed to forget how strong they got, and I ran again and bricked it. This is literally all the magic and normal monsters in the area. It's not in just their pack. It's the whole map. So halfway through the map, you have some badass, very gigantic motherfuckers just beating your ass. Do not run this unless you have a stupid OP build. If you have a stupid OP build, I'm not really sure why you're watching this video. So generally, I would not run this. Rare monsters in area are Shaper Touch. This one sucks a lot. A lot of monsters. All the rare monsters are going to be doing Shaper Slams. While you're just running around, you won't even see it coming. Just bam, you're dead. And then a ton of them get Shaper Beams. So there's beams all over the damn place. So I do not run this, and I don't suggest you run this one either. You guys noticing a pattern? There's a lot of bullshit mods, and that's why these are kind of expensive to run. Because, you're using like 20 to 60. I've used close to 100 chaos just rolling these damn things. Now, the rewards are generally worth it if you have a solid farming strategy. But in general, they kind of suck to have to reroll. Monster projectiles can chain when colliding with terrain. This is super annoying, especially if you get monsters like Revenants, which we'll go over in a second, the things that you should do. But in general, the chain when colliding with terrain, I don't know if it is really breaking the map. You can probably still run it. Just be aware it is a lot harder, especially if you have a lot of monsters that are shooting projectiles. Watch out for the players have percentage less defenses. If you are doing a strategy where you get increased map effect, you're using back to basics. This basically shuts off all your defenses, and just about 60% of the stuff in the map will one-shot you, so you got to watch out for this one too. The Drowning Orbs, you can deal with these, but they are annoying. They are the Eater of Worlds orbs, where if you look at them, they get smaller and go away, but if they get on top of you, they kind of get your vision to kind of compress, and you have to use a movement skill or be able to run out very quickly before it kills you. You can deal with these, but very annoying. I don't think it destroys the map though. Petrification statues. These are also deal withable. That's not really a word, but we're gonna make it one. They will pop up out of the ground. They're little gray statues. They shoot a beam, petrification beam at you, kind of like the basilisks do. If you look away, the beam stops. If you just run away, the beam stops or run out of its range. If you stand there too long, you get petrified for about 5 to 6 seconds. Very bad. You can deal with it if you just keep an eye out for them, so I don't think it's bricking. Just want to let you know what they do. And the last one I'm going to talk about is the Bloodstained Saw Blades. These suck. You get about 5 or 6 saw blades that appear around you, and then they cross into you. I guess it is an ultimatum thing. I didn't play Ultimatum League, so I don't know. All I know is they suck. They do a ton of damage, and the only way I've been able to deal with them is by putting a health potion on my bar and getting ready to spam the shit out of it if I get hit by them, because they can bleed you. They do a ton of damage unless you are really tanky. This is a no-go also. Now, all the other mods, unless I forgot one, but generally they depend on your build. You know, you can look at them. This one I could not do because I can't do reflect elemental damage. Also, you know, couldn't do it because of the 50% less defenses. There are some things my build doesn't matter. Players cannot block. I do not really block. Players cannot suppress spell damage. I do not really suppress spell damage. Things like that. So variants, all the other ones, are going to depend on your build. Yes, it can take a while to roll one that you think you can do. But if you have even a basic strategy, you'll at least make your money back if you buy these. Or better yet, you can go and find these. I had a video I put the other day on how to farm tier 17 maps. You can go back, check that out. Now, the biggest tips I can give you when running these are: 1, go very slow, take your time. These are expensive maps. They aren't as nearly as common as regular maps. Don't worry too much about it. The one thing you want to do is buy a couple things of either rats or frogs so that you can get rid of some of the annoying monsters. By far, the strongest monster is this Wretched Defiler. It is a Revenant, which are already annoying. This is a supercharged Revenant. He will beat your ass, and he has Detonate Dead on him as well. Get rid of him as soon as you see him. Oop, misclicked. Actually, I can just cancel this out. As soon as you see him, put just something other than him on him. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's Untamed Maws, you know, tattoos. Anything is better than that dude. Trust me on this. Now, I don't have him in here, but there is also the Brutus guys. He does his spike attack, and that seems to catch me off guard. So I usually replace the Brutus monsters as well if I get them. There is also a monster that you see sometimes. It isn't this one, but they're wearing a head tress, but they always get Temporal Shield if you're ranged. This can get incredibly annoying because you have to get close to kill them sometimes. So I usually replace those two, but definitely the Defiled Wretch or whatever it was called, the Revenant, you want to get rid of him. So go slow when you run these, especially if you are ranged, or actually even if you're melee. Just pull a couple people at a time. I can move relatively quickly with this build. I usually just have to get away from certain things and things that are draining me. Wait for bleeding to pop up to leave, pick up stuff, and just go kind of slowly. There's some temporal shields. Radiant Storms, that's new. Now the maps are very, very big. You always want to keep on the monsters remaining. If you have more than 50 remaining, check your mini map, look around to see what you missed. I'm at the boss. I'll put the boss in the video in case you want to see what the Abomination boss looks like. It's the Act 9 boss. You're going to get the 3 bosses, Diadre, Mal, and I forget the Chevron. They're going to pop one after the other in the 3 corners. Then after that, it's going to summon the I want to say Act 9. I'm pretty sure it's Act 9. The Act 9 boss. Maybe it's Act 8. Either way, if you want to see it, usually start over here. Kill Maligro. Diadre is spawned. There's Chevron right there. She's going to go up in the air. I'm going to run around, try and dodge her lightning because she cannot be hurt while she's up there. Luckily, I do enough damage. I can usually do it. Once you kill all 3 bosses, you get the Nightmare Depraved. He's actually, I think, easier than the 3 bosses because you can kind of just keep teleporting side by side. And doing that, so yeah, the 3 bosses spawn, then he spawns, and you pop him. It's really hard to do a boss fight and kind of do commentary at the same time. I don't know how streamers do it as easily as they make it look. But yeah. And drop 2 reality fragments, which is literally the worth it one. It's worth about 1.8 div a piece. I dropped 2 of them. So very worth it. So if you're going to be farming these, you want to be able to kill the boss. The boss is a decent chunk of where you are getting the profit from these maps. Now I'm going to go out and finish clearing this map, but that is it for the video, guys. Make sure you like and comment and subscribe if you have not, especially if you can just give it a like. Helps the video a ton. I appreciate it if you got some good tips. Also, make sure you follow on twitch.tv/SafeOnTalk, where I'm streaming at least 3 or 4 times a week, especially now in the mid-season. And just come hang out with us. Join the Discord. There's a link in the description for the Discord as well. But yeah, try these guys. Try one. See if you can do it. Take your time. They are very hard. Do not get down on yourself if you cannot do it or if your build wipes. That does not mean your build sucks. These are very, very hard. But if you reroll them and avoid those modifiers, it might take a while because there is a lot of them to avoid. But if you can get a map that you can run, whether by rerolling or just buying them off the trade website, you can do this. Like I said, the one I suggest starting with is probably Fortress. So maybe run a map that drops a Fortress tier 17 once you get one. Give that a shot. His moves are very telegraphed, and it is very clear what you need to dodge. So I personally think that's the one you should start with. So thanks, guys. Hope this helped you, and we will catch you on the next one.